Bleeding. Okay, I'm going to use a baby mannequin because that's my only mannequin with arms and legs, so it makes it much easier. However, what I'm going to cover is applicable equally to the children and to the adults. However, for your little one, obviously they've got far less blood. They've only got about a pint of blood. So 1/3 of a pint could be fatal. So make sure you are keeping an eye on what they could be bleeding into and judging sort of how much blood they might have lost. Okay, right, bleeding. If the child is bleeding, grab something and apply direct pressure. Your priority is to stop that blood coming out. They need every last precious little drop. How many times you've been in the kitchen, you've seen people that have cut their fingers and then they've gone straight to the tap and stood there. You're then losing all your precious blood down the sink, so please don't do that. So, what you need to do is apply direct pressure. Your other priority is to check for signs of shock. Clinical shock is a killer. What happens with clinical shock is that your heart and brain says, help, I haven't got enough blood coming up here, so I haven't got enough circulating blood. So you go pale, cold, clammy, feeling sick, feeling thirsty, because the body says, quick, shut down all the blood everywhere else where it's needed and get it to the heart and the brain. So if you've got your normal circulation, explain first, normal circulation, you've got your blood pumping round properly. Okay, no problem. This sort of shock, hypovolemic shock, is where you're bleeding and you've sprung a leak. Where you've got a major bleed, you lose a lot of fluids. Diarrhea and vomiting, if you're not managing to rehydrate, again you're losing huge amounts of fluids, and various other causes. So, you've sprung a leak, you haven't got enough blood volume, you're not going to have enough blood in your heart and your brain. You can get into shock. You can go into clinical shock. Clinical shock is a killer. Fainting. You feel faint because it's quite often quite warm. If it's warm, your blood vessels dilate, get bigger. If your blood vessels are bigger, you won't have as much circulating blood volume. So it will drop, so you won't be able to top up. So you feel a bit dizzy. If you feel dizzy, you put your head between your legs. If you feel better, great. If you don't and you keel over, raising the legs can get the blood back to the brain quickly and help you recover faster. And another form of shock is cardiogenic shock. When we were talking earlier, we were talking about a heart attack. If somebody is having a heart attack, you put them in the W position. That is treating them for their shock. It's giving them a little bit of extra blood, but not too much. It's meaning the heart hasn't got to pump too hard to get all the way down to your feet. So if somebody is pale, cold, clammy, feeling sick, feeling thirsty, and showing signs of shock, you lie them down and raise their legs. That gives a bit of extra blood, like a blood transfusion, to their heart and their brain. Excuse me. So you get the blood to the heart and the brain. The only time you don't raise their legs is if they're having a heart attack, because it's too much to their heart that's having a problem, in which case the W position. Or if they've got a major head injury because it's too much for the brain. So, someone having a major bleed, first of all, grab something, apply direct pressure, check for signs of shock, you sit or lie them down, and you have a look, you examine the area. If there's something sticking into the wound, you don't remove it. It's damaged going in, it'll damage coming out. It's stemming the bleeding. And also when it went in, it might have just missed the artery. When you pull it out, way. So if there's something in there, you leave it in. You'll need to apply pressure around it because you still have to stop the blood coming out. If there is person's put their arm through a piece of through a glass window and there's bright red frothy blood coming out, squirting all over the place, major medical emergency, lie them down, grab whatever you've got to apply direct pressure, protect your hand because you could end up cutting yourself on the glass. Apply direct pressure like that, and you would elevate. You elevate the other leg, you elevate the arms, because it's like doing a blood transfusion. You want to get the blood where it's needed. Apply direct pressure and you get an ambulance. If there's broken glass in there and it's not that spectacular, if you've got 2 seconds to make yourself a donut ring, you grab whatever you've got. It may not be a donut ring, it might be 2 bits of bandage side by side or something that you allow to make something which will allow you to apply direct pressure around the area without putting pressure on the broken glass. So you can then apply pressure like that over the donut ring and stop the bleeding. So if somebody is bleeding, you sit or lie them down, you examine the area, you elevate above the level of the heart, because that slows down the bleeding, and you apply direct pressure. So you would do this, sit or lie them down, examine, elevate, and apply direct pressure. Is that all right? If you like the look of my first aid courses, run by First Aid for Life, please visit my website www.firstaidforlife, that's F-O-R, life.org.uk, or contact me at emma@firstaidforlife.org.uk. But please come on a proper course, because the little snippets that you've seen here don't even begin to represent what we cover and what you will learn on a proper first aid course run by a trainer who has done first aid and knows what she's talking about. Okay, I do hope you'll come and join us. Many thanks.